I was so excited by announcing the Sunday sermon. Of course, I forgot my question of the day. You've got to think hard about this, folks. Write it down if you can. Are there any benefits to net zero? That is my question of the day. Are there any benefits to net zero? I look forward to hearing from you. You may have an inkling about my own views on that. Now, for this sermon, I have to give you a warning. In all seriousness, those of a fragile disposition, you may want to switch off the volume from here on, because I'm going to be talking about the true, brutal, horrifying cost of net zero that has once again emerged. Another week, another 7 days of net zero madness. Yeah, last week I talked about the potential death of the offshore wind industry, which was supposed to be the generator of thousands of green jobs, seemingly forgetting that over 80% of the offshore wind farms are foreign-owned, and many of the jobs are actually overseas jobs, not really materialising here in the UK, as confirmed by a union boss just this week. Now I'm going to move on from the wind industry to talk about the steel industry. And I want you to just close your eyes for a moment and just think calmly. Think of an altar of sacrifice. Think of an altar of net zero. And either side of the altar, you've got a couple of eco-zealots with long swords that they're holding, sharp swords. And they're there, not just to sacrifice the odd carbon-related job. No, they want to scythe and slash away at any carbon-related job. They want to chop its legs off, slash its arms off, take the head off. Any carbon-related jobs, great jobs, skilled jobs, they just do not care. They will literally slay and kill skilled British manufacturing jobs if it involves carbon. Because this week we heard that the government has splashed out, blown another 500 million of your cash, our cash, everybody's cash, giving it to the Indian steelmaker, Tata Steel, in order to destroy thousands more jobs, all in the pursuit of replacing serious, high-quality blast furnaces, making the highest quality steel possible. And they want to replace those with, guess what? Are you listening? Net zero compliant electric arc furnaces that don't generate the same quality of steel. They don't generate the same strength of steel. They therefore don't give us that sovereign independence and reliance that we need. No. If we want the strongest steel, we'd have to go and buy it from overseas. Brilliant. That sounds strategically sensible, doesn't it? Not. So we learn that some 3,000 jobs will go. That's about half the jobs, direct jobs at Paul Talbot. So these kind and compassionate eco-cultists and zealots, they think that any price is acceptable in pursuit of their own religion. So they're quite happy to slash away 3,000 adults dumped on the job's scrap heap, 3,000 lots of skills up in smoke, 3,000 families' livelihoods shattered, 3,000 of parents of children who are left confused and anxious. Why is their parents, one or both of them, losing their job, perfectly decent, skilled job? Whole communities absolutely devastated. Local businesses, supply chains, ruined, bust, bankrupt. And don't think that's it. It's just South Wales. No. The same's about to happen up in the northeast. Yes, British Steel, owned by the Chinese at Scunthorpe, they've been asking for the same thing. Hundreds of millions of pounds of subsidy to turn their blast furnaces to electric arc furnaces. They want, I think, another 500 million or so. And this only a few weeks after the government spent another 500 million of your cash, everybody's cash, hard-earned money. They're giving that to BMW for an electric car plant. Again, in the southwest, fine. But that's not creating jobs. It's actually part of the process of destroying hundreds of thousands of automotive skilled jobs around the country in the combustion engine automotive industry. So when they say that it's creating jobs, what they don't tell you, these spin merchants, these propaganda toe rags, they don't tell you that many more jobs are going to be lost. Funny that, isn't it? And the whole thing is utterly pointless as they spank our money up the smoke, up the chimney, for heaven's sake, sacrificing all these great skilled jobs on this altar of net zero by the net nutty cultists. We're literally achieving nothing. You see, currently around the world, and I've checked this on the Global Energy Monitor report, about 32% of steelmaking is made using electric arc furnaces. And the forecast is in 2050, if everybody gets to net zero, what do you think the forecast of electric arc furnaces for steelmaking is? Funny that. It'll still be about 32%. So once again, the UK will have cut our nose off to spite our face. We'll have got rid of all our blast furnaces, the highest quality steel making we have, being self-reliant. We'll have got rid of all of that, but it'll make absolutely no difference around the world. Just listen to this. 75% of all new steel making capacity is being generated in Asia, of which 99% is new blast furnaces. So whilst we virtue signal and spend hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds of our own cash destroying thousands and thousands of great skilled British manufacturing jobs, here's the proof that it'll make not a blind bit of difference to global carbon emissions, because new blast furnaces are being made and will continue to be made elsewhere in the world. Why? Because it's the cheapest and it's the most competitive. If the electric arc furnace industry was cheaper and more competitive, do you not think that they'd be making those instead of new blast furnaces elsewhere in the world? Funny that. They don't seem to be doing that. And India, of course, is amongst the biggest. In fact, I think it's just ahead of China. This in the same week that Sunak committed 1.6 billion quid of our money. That's another, just hundreds of millions of our money, 1.6 billion to the Global Climate Fund to give to countries, developing nations like India. And they're building blast furnaces that we're destroying. You literally could not make this stuff up. It is so utterly bonkers. It's not often I give credit to EU nations, but credit where credit's due, at least nations like Germany, with all the troubles and struggles that they've got, which are actually unbelievably are even greater than ours. They're in recession. They're demolishing wind turbines in order to extract more coal, to get cheaper energy. At least they're having the common sense to backpedal on some of this net zero nonsense. They're looking to delay the ban on fossil fuel cars. They're looking to wriggle and find some room to get round it. But no, the Wallies in Westminster are pressing ahead, absolutely obsessed, completely obsessed with this. It's as though they're going around with their fingers in their ears singing, la, 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 we love net zero, we love net zero. I tell you who doesn't love net zero. The thousands of skilled jobs across the country that are being destroyed on the altar of net zero. The cultists with their swords, slaying and slashing at our skilled jobs. I'm telling you, net zero, it's killing our jobs, it's killing our skills, it's killing our communities, it's killing our children's futures. Sometimes it's quite sensible to learn a lesson when we get things wrong in the past. Maybe we should actually say, well, let's try not to make such a cock-up again, shall we? Such a mess-up of things. Maybe we should learn of the impact on communities when you shut whole industries in rapid order. Think back to the coal industry, in particular in the north, the northeast, and indeed in Wales, in the 1980s devastated communities for decades. Huge swathes of jobs, businesses put on the scrap heap. And now the government is going to do exactly the same again. And you've got the business secretary, Kemi Badenoch, writing in today's Sunday Telegraph what I have to say nearly made me puke over my cornflakes. As she tried to pretend that this is good news, it's protecting jobs, it's making us more secure. The woman's lying. I've just proven it, and I will continue to prove it. This is destroying jobs, it's making us less secure, it's making us more reliant on the highest quality steel from overseas, and it's destroying local businesses in some of the areas that actually need the most help. And it doesn't stop here, as I've just proven. It's not just South Wales, it's the North East, it's the automotive industry. We're literally sending money up in smoke to destroy jobs. Net zero's killing our country. And I'm sorry to use such brutal language, but actually I am properly steaming mad about this. Even Sir Tony Blair, bless his cotton socks, has admitted what we do on net zero is completely irrelevant to global emissions. China is currently building over 200 coal-fired power plants. India is currently building over 100 coal-fired power plants. And guess what they're doing with that? They're creating cheap energy to make things like wind turbines and solar panels to sell to us at great expense, so they take more of our money, they make the profits, we suffer the higher costs, we destroy our jobs. It's a complete and utter scandal. It's without question the greatest single act of financial self-harm this country has ever imposed on itself. I believe it's not only financially negligent, it's making us poorer, it's making us colder, and sadly, old, cold people die early. So it's not only financially negligent, it's criminally negligent. And if the leaders in Westminster were company directors answerable to shareholders, they would be being sued by those shareholders for the vast liabilities that they are creating. But if you're in government, there's no accountability, there's no transparency, there's waffle, spin and propaganda. It's unreal. It's all of us that suffer. They don't suffer. When they leave Parliament, they go to some nice quango jobs, non-exec jobs in the green industry. I'm telling you, if you don't understand it, follow the money. And we know where the money is, don't we? It's in the green industry. It's in the net zero industry. And all of us, we're paying for it. And it makes me sick. And here endeth my Sunday sermon.